the American airlift of stranded Afghans and Americans is in its final phase. And just today, a bomb explosion at the Kabul airport. We don't have information yet on the extent of the damage or the casualties. But what we do know is that this confirms what not just the US, but the UK, France, other countries have been warning of, which is that the whole atmosphere is now essentially become extremely dangerous. It's laced with threats of terrorism. And citizens are encouraged, US citizens encouraged not to make their way to the airport. So this whole thing is a complete disaster. I mean, what's so strange is to contrast what's actually happening, what even the mainstream press is reporting, and on the other hand, the self-congratulatory approach of the Biden administration. It's a historic operation. We've overperformed our own metrics. They love that word, metrics. We've defied expectations. Well, it depends. If the expectations are essentially zero, defying expectations doesn't amount to much. But it's important to emphasize here that the reason we're dealing with a historic airlift, never have so many people been airlifted and so on, is because we left them behind. We could have had them out first, but the Biden administration made the decision to close the base first and then figure out, in the teeth of danger, how to try to get people out. In fact, never before in our history has America conducted a foreign operation and left so many of its own citizens behind. Not even in Vietnam, a much more protracted war, America got its troops out before that last helicopter took off from Saigon. So this is really what is historic about it is historic abdication. It's historic dereliction. It never before has a U.S. president been so much at the mercy, not just of terrorists, but of a terrorist regime. U.S. officials are publicly admitting, yeah, we're kind of beholden to the Taliban. Whether or not we get our people out depends on them. Like it or not, those are the people who are now in charge. Now, here's another interesting fact. As the U.S. government releases these numbers, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people out, you have to look at the fine print to realize that the vast, vast majority of those people are not Americans. Here's Anthony Blinken, just from, I believe, yesterday. 82,300 people have been evacuated. Guess how many of those are Americans? 4,500. That means 78,000 are non-Americans. Those are Afghans who are going to be relocated, perhaps not all to the United States, but probably most. 6 out of 7 evacuated are not American. Here are some leaked numbers that were put out by the Politico journalist Alex Ward. He's talking about just August 23rd. The United States evacuates 6,900 people from Afghanistan that day. 483 of those are Americans. All the rest are Afghan nationals. Then, of course, there's the whole separate issue of the vetting of these Afghans. No information on how that is occurring. No information on whether we actually know who these people are. We know much about them. We know that these guys aren't, for example, Taliban guys who go, listen, A, free trip to the United States. B, the United States is paying for some terrorists from over here to get over there. We don't have to pay our own airfare. This is fantastic. We can now cause trouble in the United States. So what makes all of this so disgusting is that this is a completely botched operation, a disastrous operation, either disastrous by incompetence or disastrous by intent. But in every single way, Americans who are being put last, the Afghans are getting in here much easier, it seems, than American citizens, and yet it is American citizens here at home who are paying for the whole thing, paying in more than one way, paying financially. We're going to be supporting these Afghans as they get resettled in America, and paying dearly for the incompetent fool that currently occupies the White House.